whispering in the trees. It's two cities and they're only.
And on the phone we have John Depasquale. He is a retired Chief Warrant Officer, Special Agent with the U.S. Department of Defense. John, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming aboard.
Thank you, Preacher.
Where are you?
I'm in Florida, right near Daytona Beach, Port Orange, actually.
Okay. I'm familiar with that terrain, at least as far as Tampa, Miami, etc.
But
interestingly, let's get right to it. You worked around and with Ronald Reagan and Dick Cheney. Let's go with Reagan. At what capacity?
Well, as you know, Secret Service are the ones responsible for the president's security. What they do is, when they were short of personnel, they used to use our agents, CID agents, because we were also trained in security. But our security mission was with the Secretary of Defense, which at the time was Dick Cheney.
Right. Let's see. I met Ronald Reagan. New Orleans. It must have been 1980 or 81. Not sure which year. The Republican convention was there. I was a manager at the Hyatt Regency in New Orleans at that time. Were you on with Reagan then?
No, and I bet you never forgot him after you met him.
Absolutely not. I got to shake his hand and show him the room and the presidential suite.
Exactly
of course.
right. Well, no, my capacity was I was working out of San Francisco, and he was at his ranch, and the Secret Service needed some personnel there. So they were short of Secret Service personnel. So what they did is that they called a couple of our agents. And so I was down at the ranch, and I only spent a couple of days there, and that was actually the only time I met him.
What about 85? Our paths crossed again in 85 when I was with the Westin Bonaventure in Los Angeles. They invited me over to the Century Plaza, which was another one of our hotels. Reagan was doing a luncheon over there. Were you with him then?
No. The only time I was with him and I actually met him was at his ranch. That's the only time.
Yeah, quite an impression. I mean, needless to say, he does leave an impression upon you.
Well, you know, I was on the back porch, me and another agent, and he came in, and he must have been just riding a horse because he was full of mud. And he came over. He says, "How you doing, boys? Is there anything that you need? Can I get you anything?" And of course, we said, "No, Mr. President." And he says, "Well, if you need anything, Nancy's inside. Just give a yell, and we'll see you boys later."
Hey, you missed it. You missed a great
an hour or two later. Miss Reagan comes out. She offers us some apple pie, and of course we took some. But nicest people you'd ever want to meet.
Yeah, they were down to earth.
Yeah. It was like talking to a buddy on the street. I don't care what your affiliation was. Once you met him, you always remembered him, and you liked him.
Dick Cheney, you did some work with him?
Dick Cheney was the same way. I spent a lot more time with Dick Cheney because he was my actual boss. Although I never followed on the team that actually stood with him all the time. At times I was working narcotics, I was working major crimes, white-collar crime. So they had a regular team that used to follow him all over. But if he was in our area, what they did is they used to get the agents that were in the area to augment the regular team. So I was in Las Vegas with him a couple of times, and I was in a room next to him with one of the correspondents, got the Newsweek, I believe. And I was out there one morning at the hotel watching the sun come up over the hills. And he came out and just started talking, you know, beautiful day, and went on. And just a nice man. Anytime we were out on a security mission with him, he always came over to make sure that we had plenty to eat, that we were taken care of, if we had a place to stay. So they're just nice people. I mean, a lot different than you see them on TV.
Yeah, when Reagan was at the Hyatt, we were briefed or debriefed, whatever the proper term is, by the Secret Service. You know, to the extent of who would be meeting Reagan, etc. And we also knew that they must just have the general routine that they go by, but they had every room anywhere near him, across the hall. The rooms on the floor below, directly below him, directly above.
Controlled everything.
Exactly. There was nothing left to chance whatsoever.
Exactly right. And there were even probably snipers on rooftops and in rooms right across the way.
I'm sure there was.
360 degrees all around.
I don't know how old you are, but I'll just ask you, why wasn't that happening in Dallas when Kennedy was assassinated?
Good question.
I mean, that level of security absolutely wasn't there.
Yeah. You wouldn't see a president ride around like that today. It's just too crazy. I think since that incident, I think the Secret Service mission changed completely. They have a whole new mission after that incident.
This might be a little bit out of your realm, but in the news here recently, the United States lost a drone somehow. I think this thing was commandeered by someone, and they just plain took it away from us and flew it right wherever they wanted to fly it and landed it safely.
Well, I kind of think the same thing. I think what happened is that somebody, either Russians or Chinese, assisted Iran to see if we can get a drone next time they flew over. And sure enough, they took control electronically. And look, we're talking about just electronics. They're easy to jam. You could change the frequencies on them. If you know the system, you could do just about anything with those.
Yeah, but that would make these things completely worthless if that's true. If they can do this at will, you don't want to be flying these things around any longer.
You know, they need to be able to change frequencies or put some sort of safeguards in them. And I'm really surprised that they didn't have some destruct mechanism in there, that when it was going down and when they did lose control, whatever point that was, that it didn't self-destruct and burn all the circuit boards up.
Well, that could be the case. As I see it, once they lost control, they lost control of everything. They no longer had that option. They were blocked out of it. They must have been.
Yeah, but the thing is, what I'm saying is that there's a frequency that they use, a certain frequency, and once that drone loses that particular frequency, then a self-destruct mechanism takes over. Or if another mechanism or electronic field tries to take over. I mean, there's got to be something. I'm not into electronics.
Right.
But, there's got to be something. Or just send another drone to take it out.
And that I'm surprised we haven't done anything